added, our independence is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of the African continent. So immediately after Ghana's independence, Ghana opens its door, brought in leaders and young people, students from all the African countries to Ghana to study so that they can go back and declare independence. Even when I was at the university, I studied engineering at the University of Science and Technology. My roommate happened to be the student youth leader of SWAPO, Southwest Africa People's Organization, the organization fighting for independence in Namibia. Sadly, he was murdered right in my room by South African agents because apartheid extended its tentacles everywhere. They located him, murdered him. But Ghana opens its door for all the various leaders. And so most of the first, second generation of African leaders, they were all trained in Ghana because of the vision that Ghana's independence is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of the entire continent. Kwame Nkrumah announced this. And so we chose for our national symbol the Black Star. Our soccer team, our national soccer team, is called Ghana Black Star. It wasn't just an empty slogan. It is a philosophical statement. The statement said, a star can be black, and a black star can shine. That is what it is talking about excellence. It's talking about excellence. When Nkrumah and his fellows started saying, we want to be independent, we want to be free, the folks told them, no, it is dangerous to be free. Be a little slave, things will be stable. And Nkrumah replied, we prefer self-government with danger to servitude with tranquility. I'd rather be free and face danger than be at peace as a slave. That's what he said. Many of you have become slaves because you don't want to rock the boat. So you are living in cages. And then the white people said, okay, if you want to be independent, please first learn how to be independent, then we'll let you go. Nkrumah replied, the best way of learning to be an independent sovereign state is to be an independent sovereign state. Then they said, okay, if you become independent, are you going to go east or west? You know, the Western world or the Eastern Soviet bloc? Which way would you go? Nkrumah replied, we face neither east nor west, we face forward. This is what gave birth to the non-aligned movement. And Nkrumah added, revolutions are brought about by men who think as men of action and act as men of thought. Changes, revival, transformations are brought about by people who think in the way they would act. Some of us just think, we never act. That's why I have no tolerance for meeting African students who sit down, talk, and they never act. And then some act thoughtlessly. Nkrumah said, no, changes, revolutions are brought about by men who think as men of action and act as men of thought. But a few years earlier, he was washing dishes, struggling in a school, just like all of you. Can we make a difference? Absolutely we can. But in order to make a difference, we must know the problem. What is the problem we face? From time to time, it is important for individuals, for nations, for churches, for groups and organizations to sit quietly and do some personal evaluation, a stock taking, to know where you are, where you ought to be. In ancient Israel, the prophet Jeremiah took Israel through a painful process. He likened Israel to a woman who was sick. And then he asked the question, for the hurt of the daughter of my people, I am hurt. I am black. Astonishment has taken hold on me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then, is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered? Why? That is the question. The question is, here is a sick woman, Israel, Judah. Don't we have physicians in Israel? Yes, we do. Don't we have pharmacists about in Gilead? Yes, we do. So if you have good doctors, if you have medication, why are we still sick? That was the question Jeremiah raised. And Africans must ask the same question. Why? We have everything. Why are we still sick? You know, I give lectures on secular universities. I have a lecture series called Why? And especially when I go to African university campuses, this is usually the first lecture I give on African secular universities. I modify it slightly, but this is what I do. So I'll basically raise a question to you today, why you cannot but make a difference. Before we go any further, let's bow our heads for prayer. Our Father in heaven, you brought us from different parts of Africa. We have gathered as Africans and as friends of Africans. Speak to us, lay a burden on our heart, so that each one of us will rise and start making a difference. We ask in Jesus' name. There's something wrong with our continent. Something is very wrong. If you look at the face of Africa, it's all Israel. Because all that we keep doing is we are begging, constantly dependent. Something is wrong with us. For 50 years, the chef of the continent of Africa has been asking the question, why? Look carefully at it. The shape of the continent of Africa looks like a question mark. You start from West Africa, go all the way to North America, Djibouti, Ethiopia, the rest comes to South Africa, and Madagascar is that little period. So I'm coming to ask you some why questions as Africans. Why is it that Africa has great minds, and yet we are still underdeveloped? Why? Something is wrong. And once you know the problem, you are going to discover you are the answer. We have great leaders. I mentioned a short while ago Kwame Nkrumah. Very brilliant. When he stood up to speak, United Nations anywhere, they listened. J.F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, all the great leaders, they listened. Great mind, great leader. Nelson Mandela, a living legend on the power of Churchill. An incredible leader. And we have women leaders too. Not the women here who eat rice and they do nothing. There is one African leader. She said, I see myself as Mandela. I'll take one term of office, take hard decisions, get my country on track, get the economy functioning, get our people in school, and then I resign. One African leader. Do you know that typically African leaders are presidents for life? Mugabe and others. This woman said, no, I will only take one term of office. I will do the right thing, get my country back on track. Who is this? Dr. Ellen Selig Johnson, Harvard trained. And believe me, after the war in Liberia, Liberia is now back on track again.
Amen.
Great leaders. We have great diplomats. Kofi Annan and the rest. But the question is this. Why is it that in spite of our great leaders and great minds, there are still political instabilities in our various African countries? Why? There's hardly any election in Africa which doesn't merit the label stolen elections. And with the charge of stolen elections, then there are problems, violence, almost splitting apart nations. Something is wrong. And I ask you, why? We have great minds, but we are still underdeveloped. We have great historians. In case you don't know, Dr. Ali Mazrui from Tanzania. Very sharp mind, world-class scholar. He can give you the history, not just of the world, but of Africans in a way you've never heard before. We have great architects. Not too long ago, I was in Zimbabwe, Matsingo. You look at the great walls of Zimbabwe. They never use bricks nor mortar to hold them together. And yet, these walls are at par with the great walls of China. Unique architectural feat. We have minds to build. In the realm of science, we have some of the top-notch scientists. For example, there is one current scientist. He theorized that some 65,000 individual computers can be programmed to work together as one and solve the weather problem. And his theory is that which gave birth to the internet. He wrote a program. The program reformulated Newton's second law of motion as 18 equations and algorithms, and he was able to process 24 million equations at the speed of 3.1 billion calculations per second. The result is that which has been utilized for the internet. The person is Dr. Philip Emeagwali of Nigeria. A sharp mind. He's considered the father of the internet, the mathematical genius. And by the way, Nigerians and Indians are the top mathematicians in the world. We have great minds. We have women and men who are leading out in the fight against global warming and global cooling. Some have won Nobel Peace Prizes. Can call attention to Dr. Wangari Maathai. Brilliant mind, very articulate, understands the issues. I can take you to Sierra Leone, a man by the name of Dr. Monty Jones, a scientist. He combined the Asian rice we have here with African rice and made it insect resistant and high yielding, and produced a new breed of rice called Nerika rice. Nerika is an acronym, New Rice for Africa. And that is his goal, to solve the hunger problem using the law of genetics. We have great minds, from history to architecture to environmental concept to everything, even space exploration. We have great minds. I can talk to you about one current scientist. He holds double PhD from MIT. MIT is not some wayside university, the leading engineering university in the world. This man is a world-class inventor. He holds patent rights to many of the technologies for space industry work. You know, NASA employs about 1,250 top-notch scientists. Of these, 12 are considered the most brilliant scientists of all. This person I'm talking about is one of them. He has invented so many things. He produced the technology that spacecraft can travel over 6 times the speed of sound. He won the 2006, the President of the United States Award for Presidential Meritorious Senior Executive. 2005, the Scientist of the Year Award. Who is he? Dr. Isaac Glanson of Ghana. Sharp mind. I was in Ghana last year, or earlier this year. And he said, why is it that our engineering department, all that we do is fix cars and make roads and machetes and cutlasses? We must also go to space. So because of him, my university is now in space technology. Great minds. Now here is my question. I sampled minds from different fields. The question is, why is it that we have great leaders, great minds, and we are still underdeveloped? Something is wrong. Look at this. The world is talking about Toyota Corolla And we are talking about Toyota Alphard. We have taken people to the moon. We have brought the secret of the atom. We have built many things. You mean, is this the best we can produce in Africa? Toyota Alphard. Something is wrong. We can't even get drinking water. It requires some unique ingenuity. This is the Africa we are facing. I work on a university campus, the leading research university in the United States. Virtually every student is given free iPod. So they download their lecture notes. The professors send all their notes through this. So when you see the students having the thing in their ear, they are listening to their lectures, not African students. Some of you get some cheap, fake iPods. And then all you listen is